the last class we have seen how to use the XML and some features of the XML. So let's look at some of the other remaining things which are part or essential elements of the XML. Now, whenever we think of using an XML, usually what so happens that XML restricts us from using some of the characters. Suppose say if you want to use the ampersand or greater than or less than, the XML itself has an interpretation for them. But if it is not, it's unavoidable. You have to use these symbols. In that case, what to do? There are two ways in which you can tackle this problem. So let me first go to the new file. I'll just open a XML document here. By the way, how many of you have Windows XP in your laptops? 1, 2. Yes. The others, I assume you have Windows 7. Yes. Those who have this XP, are you using 64-bit or 32-bit? How many of you are using 32-bit XP? That is 32-bit XP. So most of you have the Windows 7. That means, why did I ask that question? So that means you can think of developing an application on Windows Mobile. That's what I was guessing. So think of developing an application using Windows Mobile. It is easier to develop an application, and you will definitely learn something apart from learning the usual things. Okay. Now you are already familiar. The XML must have some root element. You are familiar with this. Then, now suppose if you have say product and if you have price, slightly blow it up. Okay. Now if the price is greater than, suppose if you want to write it is greater than say 1450. Now the problem here is this symbol. When you try to use this symbol, that symbol itself is actually used up by XML. Now to get the immediate error, I have to do it this way. So you definitely realize that the minute you put that less than symbol, you get a problem. The parser immediately says that it is not possible to accept the less than symbol because that is the one that is less than and greater than symbols are usually used for markup. You can't use that symbol within your XML. What is the workaround? To solve this problem, we use something called as entities. So let's look at what are entities now. Entities are an alternative way, or it's a way in which we are using different symbols, not the symbols which are restricted. We use a different symbol to refer to the restricted symbol. In other words, it allows us to incorporate these potentially dangerous characters or potentially the characters which are restricted from using it. So how do I use the entities? There are two ways in which you can use the entities. One is the general entity, other one is the character entities. Now character entities are built-in entities. They are there with the XML, they are directly defined by the W3C, whereas the general entities, you can define your own entities and use it. I'll tell you what is the use of the general entities, but before that let's go to the character entities. Now if I want to use this less than symbol, then I have to use a character entity called ampersand, LD and semicolon. This is the way in which you have to use it. It must start with an ampersand. There is a symbol, that's the representation, and it must end with the semicolon. Everything is a must. If I just hover the mouse on top of it, it immediately says there are many other things. Suppose if you want that ampersand itself, you notice that ampersand has a special meaning because ampersand indicates the beginning of the entity, so that symbol itself is restricted. Suppose if you want the ampersand symbol itself as a part of it, then you can use amp. So amp refers to the ampersand symbol. So let me quickly save this file. I will save it in the desktop, whatever the name it may take. Let me go back to the desktop and a bit difficult. I'm going to put it on top of that. Okay, so you notice I'm using the Firefox. It doesn't mean that I can't use the Internet Explorer. You will notice that ampersand is replaced by the ampersand symbol. You have this. There is another way in which you can do it. There may not be names for each and every entity. So W3C has not taken the trouble on giving names to all the different characters or different symbols which are there. Instead of that, you can also use a number equivalent. I will just type a number. I'm not very sure about what this number will turn out to be. It turns out to be plus or minus symbol. Okay, now you know very well, it may be very difficult for you to get that symbol. If you want to get a symbol which that is register the trademark, you know very well that R, you get it registered, or copyright C, that kind of symbol. There is a character code associated with it. Just use that in your program. So if I just save it and go back to my Firefox and refresh it, and you will notice that that symbol has appeared here. So that is what is the use of the entities. Now entities allow us to use some of the symbols which are restricted, or some of the symbols which may not be immediately obtainable from your keyboard. If it is not possible to get the keyboard combination, or the symbols are not there, you can use the equivalent character code for that. So that is the use of the entities. That's one use of the entities. The other use of the entities are to reduce the either typing errors or to reduce the amount of typing. So instead of writing Aloysius Institute of Management and Information Technology, the full word every now and then, I can create it like a macro. I can create a macro, and wherever I want to substitute Aloysius Institute of Management and Information Technology, I can just use one symbol to reference to that full word. So that is the general entities. General entities are usually used when you want to use one symbol to represent a very lengthy text. So let's look at that example. To do this thing, I have to go one step ahead because it's not directly possible to do it. I will declare something. You may not be able to guess what I'm trying to do now, but I will tell you what is important. This part I will cover either today or tomorrow, so don't worry about that thing. I will tell you what is that I'm trying to do here, but for now my intention is just to tell you how to refer to an entity. Okay, so I will say don't worry about the previous one. This is what is important. I create my own entity. Now in the previous case, I was using the entity which is already declared, which is declared by the W3C. Now what is that I'm trying to do is, I declare my own entity. So I'm going to say emit is I will say, and that full length text will go there. We have products. I hope with the minimum I'll be able to do it. Now I'm going to do is just put this thing. Look at what I've done. In the last case, I will just tell you what I did last time. I used this symbol. Sorry, that's not the one. LT. This symbol refers to the greater than, the less than symbol. Because it is restricted, I want to use that less than symbol. So what I did was I used an entity called as ampersand LT. So wherever that ampersand LT is there, the parser will automatically replace that ampersand LT with the less than symbol. So it is automatic. Now what I am telling the parser is, now I don't want you to use the standard symbols. I am declaring something called as emit. One symbol you can just say, I can reduce it. If it is too much, I can still reduce this, and I can just say that it is just A. So one symbol. So wherever A is there, I am telling the parser that you replace that A with the Aloysius Institute and so on. So let's go back to the Firefox. I can do the same thing with the Internet Explorer. It's not a big deal. You notice that I have not written everything. It replaces that. That is other use of the entity. So you can create your own symbols if you have to write too many things. For example, the name of the company or the address. Tomorrow if the address changes, then you have to go to every place and make the changes to the address. Instead of that, you create an entity and say company address or company branch manager or something. Create an entity. It's like a reference. Then use it wherever required. So if I have to, if this symbol is being used up at 10 different places somewhere within my application, I don't have to go to each and every place and change that to Aloysius Institute of Management or something. I can anytime make changes in the one place, and it will be automatically reflected in all the places wherever this symbol appears. So if I now save this, and if I go back to my Firefox or Internet Explorer, you will notice that I did it 2 times. It has now various spaces. I've already told you the browsers are there. They ignore most of the errors. So browser is thinking that you are writing a HTML document, and by mistake you have put some extra spaces, extra line breaks and other things. So it just ignores them and do it. And just try to show it in the same way. Now, did you understand what is entities now? So entities are nothing but, oops, where is the PowerPoint now? So there are 2 types of entities. One is the general entity, the entity that you declare on your own and then use it. The second one is the built-in or predefined entities that you can use it. So some of the entities that you may encounter: LP for less than, GT for greater than, AMP for ampersand, and quotation, that is QUOT is for double quote, and apostrophe for the apostrophe symbol. Okay, these symbols that you use here, these letters are called as references. So entity references are the one that reference the entity. In the previous case, AC is a reference to the entire word Aloysius College. So this is called as the reference. Did you understand the thing? Now, any doubt regarding this? By the way, somebody has given that feedback. Any doubt regarding this? Yes? You don't have any doubt, so I have a doubt here. Now, tell me what is it going to come? I'm going to declare an entity. To declare an entity, you start with some of the element. I want the entity. I will tell you what is this block type in the next slides. I'll get back to that. Now I declare LT. What is LT? Okay. Now I'm going to say this is what is the difference? If A is for Aloysius Institute and so on. Now I am going to type. I declare that thing LT. What will replace this LT? What will come in the place of LT? So because you said I am not interactive. What is, you are listening to music over there? Yes. Yeah. What will come here? LT will be replaced by what? Word less than or symbol. Okay, I will just use the other because less than is one and the same. Some word. LT will be replaced by what? Yes? Less than symbol. Yes. Next. So you said you gave the comment that I am not interacting with it. Less than symbol. Okay. Let's look at what is it going to do. I'm going to save this thing, and I will go to the Firefox and so you must remember whenever the symbols are predefined, they will take their precedence. If the symbols are already there, that's the reason we call it as predefined. They have the direct meaning. It is taken from the character encoding. So it is your duty not to conflict with the symbols which are already declared. So usually don't use up to 3 letters. Don't use any entity reference which is either equal to or less than 3 letters. You can use 4 letters. Usually there is no predefined symbol or built-in entity with 4 letters. So if you want to use a entity, your own general entity, then give it at least a length of 4 characters. So then you are safe. Otherwise, you have to be very extremely careful that symbol is not conflicting with the other symbol across the world. I have not shown all the symbols there because then what will happen is during the processing, things may go bad and you may get an unexpected result. Okay, so this is the full anatomy of an element. So what we have in the element is we have a paragraph tag here. So isn't that if you consider this as the tag name, it must end with /p. Then you can have a attribute. Attribute consists of the name of the attribute with the values. Then you can write anything. This is called as the content. So this part is called as the start tag from here to here. The other one is called as the end tag. Anything that comes in between the start and end tag is its content. So what are the things that can come here? You can have a plain text with some entity or without some entity references, or you can have sub elements that are coming over here, or you can have mixed elements. You've seen it in the last class. So suppose if you follow all the golden rules that I was talking in the last class, For example, a element must have a open and close tag. So unless and otherwise it's an empty element. If the element has an open and closed tag, for every tag that you open, it must be closed. And if it is an empty tag, if you just close that empty tag, I don't know whether I have that zoom with me now. Let's see. Okay, color is yellow. I think yellow is highlighted one. Suppose if you create a tag, let's say name, and if it is an empty tag, you can directly close that thing. If it is a tag that contains some other elements or some other things there, then it must be closed with the /t. So this is a container tag, and this is the empty tag. So if it is a container tag, every open tag must have a closing tag, and the closing tag must have this /t. If it is an empty tag, then there must be this symbol before you close it. So that's the one. Then there are no isolated characters. These are all the characters which are not allowed. So if you want to use them in your document or in your XML, then you have to use the entity reference. Suppose if you are not using it and all the values must be quoted, what is the meaning of that? Suppose if you create a name, and if you take a attribute as register number, then you cannot type 1, 2, 3, 4. This is not allowed. Even if it is a numerical value, anything that is the part of the attribute must be placed in the quotation mark. Either you can use a single quotation or the double quotation, but they must have the quotation mark. Suppose if you follow all this rule, then the document, the XML that you create is called as well-formed XML document. So a question can be asked in the examination, what is a well-formed XML document? By the way, I have not read this particular statement. The reason is I have not come to that point. I will tell you what is that DTD, then only I will explain it. So if your XML follows these rules, then it is called as well-formed. What is the meaning of saying well-formed? Your XML is in compliance with the standards that are given by W3C. That is what is the meaning of saying it is compliance with the, or it is well-formed. That does not mean that you have a well-formed XML document, it is of any use. So you may create a well-formed XML document, but it may be useless. It may not be used, or it's not possible to use it in your application. It's possible. So when you say well-formed document, what you are saying is your syntax, the way in which you have written it, is in compliance with the W3C standard. But to be of any use, it must follow certain rules and regulations. What is the meaning of saying rules and regulations? Are they not the rules? They are the rules. They are given by W3C. Any XML document must follow these rules. But suppose if I want to use a XML document for processing the student information, then I expect the first name or the first tag to be student, next tag to be register number, third tag to be first name, and so on. So you have seen just now you were giving the application form to your placement officer, and you know very well, most of you were called back again and again by your placement officer because you have either not filled something, or you have filled something in a wrong order, or it is not proper. Okay. The thing is, the way in which you have written, what was expected is you are supposed to write it in English. You have written it in English. You are supposed to fill the content in front of the blank lines that were given for every category. You have done that thing. On spite of that, it is useless. Why it is useless? Because you have left some things blank. Either you have not disclosed your email ID or your phone number, or something is missing. So that is called as valid. So just by filling the application, what you are getting is it's a well-formed application. So you are expected to write it in English. You have written it in English. You have not written it in Kannada or Malayalam or any other language. It is well formed. It is in compliance, but it is useless. Why? Because some of the fields were not filled. So when we say well formed, it is in compliance with the W3C standard. But for a given application, it may have to satisfy few of the conditions. For example, your placement officer has told that you are supposed to give your email ID, whether you like it or not, you are supposed to fill that thing. So if you leave it blank, it is invalid. So we have well formed, and the next one is valid XML document. What is the difference between a well formed and a valid XML document? Remember, valid XML document is also well formed. It satisfies the W3C condition. But apart from that, it satisfies some additional conditions or some additional restrictions that are put up by the given application. So you may be using it in bank customer account processing, or you may be using it in inventory, or you may be using it in the academic processing. Now they have some restriction. The things must come in the proper order. There must be so many fields. Some fields must not be blank. You are supposed to fill them whether you like it or not. You have seen this. Most of you are writing this research paper. You are very familiar with that word. So whenever you are creating the project, there is this IEEE format is given. Now all of them may not be valid for your project. So what you are supposed to do? You are not supposed to delete them. Instead of that, you are supposed to write not applicable. So this is something called as valid. If you delete, if you say that, okay, this is not valid, it is not there in my project, that is there for some other project, then you can't delete that paragraph. You have to keep the heading in front of it. You are supposed to write not applicable or not allowed or something of that type. So then only it becomes valid. So valid is something that has the previous restriction. Apart from that, it has some application related restriction. How do I put those restrictions? I use DTD to achieve that thing. I'll tell you what is that DTD. I will not disclose the full form of it. One way is to use the DTD, other way is to use the schema. Now before we venture into DTD, there are a few other standard things that you are supposed to know. One is one of the most essential thing which is required, and that is to put the comments. You are already familiar. Comments are the one which are ignored by the parser. They don't appear. You can put the comment anywhere. So how do I put the comment? Put this and then type anything in between. This is considered as comment. Even if you put the tag name, it will not be considered. Whatever you write within the comment is considered as only for reference purpose. For the humans, it is not meant for the machine. Now the next question is, can I create, I am used to creating the comments in C, can I do this? Again, is it valid? Let's go for some interaction. Yes or no? I will save this thing and let me switch to the. You notice surprisingly it is. You said that this is meant for humans. Why then it is showing? Remember, this is not the parser. This is a browser. They are not claiming we are the masters of XML. No Firefox, nor Internet Explorer, nor Chrome. Nobody says. They say we will be able to show the content to you, but our work is not to parse or to process the XML document. To process the XML document, you create your own application which is able to do it, either a banking application or an inventory application or something else. Its work is to just display. This thing is good at displaying the content, in particular displaying the HTML content. So don't think that, okay, I wrote the comment and it is still showing the comment. Most of the browser will show the content as it is. What is the reason? Most of them won't get the head and tail of what you have written. So all the browsers are designed in such a way that if they are not getting what you have typed, they are supposed to show it as it is to the user. That's why sometimes you see some of the browsers just start showing you the JavaScript directly to you because they could not get what is it. As it is shown to the user. In other browsers, some of the browsers are there. If they don't get it, they just delete it, leave it, and go to the things that they know it. Okay, so don't expect the browser to hide the thing. But again, I'm not talking about creating an XML document that must be shown in the browser. It is not my intention nor anybody else's intention. The main basic idea why we use XML is to transfer the information from one application to the other, not to display it. For example, if you want to transfer your name card from one mobile to the other mobile, how do you transfer it from one side to the other? Or if one bank wants to transfer a customer account from one side to the other account, how this information is transferred, how it is shown to the customer, how the printout is taken, that is not the work of the XML. For that, there are some other things are associated you can think of using. But now, you must remember that whenever you are using the comments are only the helper text, they are not meant for processing. There is one restriction in the comment. Whenever you use the comment, you notice that comments end with double quotes, double dashes. You are not supposed to use these double dash in the comment. What is the meaning of that? Comment can have anything, but you are not supposed to put two double this way. You will end up in confusing it, because you know very well comments are ending with two double dashes followed by a greater than symbol. The minute you put this double dash, the parser will think that okay, you are going to close the comment, so it just says okay, it's not closed, close it completely. So this symbol is not allowed. Anything is allowed, but not that symbol, because that is the ending of the comments. Let's go to the next part. So this is some information. Comments are ignored by the processor. Remember the word here, processor, it is not the browsers. Your Internet Explorer or anything is a browser. Okay, there are other things I just forgot. When you use the comments, let me go back to this thing. You can use the comments anywhere, but there are some restrictions. I can't put a comment inside the tag here itself. If I try to do this, the thing may not, parser may not like this thing. You can't put the comment inside the tag name itself. It's not allowed. Okay. If you want to put the comment, take it outside the tag, just immediately after the name, it's valid, but not. I will cut this thing. Control X. Come on. So it's gone now. If you want, you can. I think I cut the same thing. If you want, you can put the some minor problem here. Immediately after that, also it is possible. If you want, you can put this. There is no problem. You can put anywhere, but not inside it. There is one more place where you are not supposed to put the comment, and that is this one line. This is called as a declaration line. Do not put the comment above this. It is not allowed. Okay. Why that is not allowed is this line, as far as the restriction, this line must come as the first line, the first character. This is called as a declaration. If the declaration is there, it must be the starting thing within the documentation, within the XML document. Nothing must come above it, not even the comment. So if you try to put a comment above the declaration, what you are doing is you are invalidating the declaration itself. So comments are not allowed here. Comments are allowed everywhere. Now the next question is, can I put a comment here? Let's go for the suggestion. Can I put a comment here? This is ending. So you have the process here, product is ending, the root element is ending. Can I put the comment after the root element? Yes. Next. No, who said no? An objection. Okay. Anywhere it's possible because it is ignored. Okay. There are few places definitely you know very well. You try to put it here, you will confuse the parser as to what to do with the comments. This place it is not allowed. Can I put it here? Okay, can I put it inside even though I have not talked about it? Anywhere it's possible. Okay, comments go everywhere, but not at some restricted places. Okay, let me go back. Okay, cannot appear inside an element tag. May not include double hyphen. I have already told you, and it cannot come before XML declaration. The next one is the processing instruction. Suppose if you want to give some additional instruction to the parser, then you can use one more symbol, and that is called as processing instruction. Now, processing instruction is used to provide additional information to the parser. If you are not getting this, just recall what you have done when you started writing the programs. I will just ignore this one. You started with your C programming language, and you said define max 100. What in your C program? It's not a, isn't that it's not a XML. What is the use of this? What's the use of this? Or you said you have written. Ignore. Isn't that it's not a XML document? What is the use of this? What is that you are doing by writing this? What is that you are doing? You are telling the compiler that no doubt you have to compile my program, but you include some additional things with my program, or this is the symbol that I will, max is the symbol that I will be using elsewhere, replace them. So some extra information you were doing. You are not directly compiling it, you are telling some extra information. This is something extra, that's not the program. Yesterday, include yesterday IO.NET is not your program logic. Your program logic may be to generate the Fibonacci number or to find the greatest something of that type. That was your program logic. But you were telling the compiler that apart from my program, do something extra, and that is what is called as processing instruction. In our language, that is called as processing instruction. We are not writing this. Include stdio.h or something of that type. This is not required. This is called as processing. So that's the meaning of saying processing instruction. I'll get it back to normal XML. So what is this processing instruction? You are telling some extra information to the parser. How do I put the processing instruction? To put the processing instruction, you start with the very different symbol, that is less than question mark, and you, as usual, you end with question mark and this. Now, one of the main use that you will be using in this course is to include a CSS file with the XML, so that the browser, instead of showing you this kind of thing, you are not happy with the way in which the browser is showing. You can tell the browser, okay, display it in a different way. I don't want to look at this one. You show the content, even though it's an XML document, show the content in a formatted way. How do I do that thing? I have to tell the I have to tell the browser that I am not happy with the way in which you are showing the things to me. You show it in a neat format, in a formatted way, so that the things appear neat. How do I do it? You are very familiar. To format the content, we usually use the style shape. So I can tell the compiler, I can tell the browser that use the style shape, format it neatly, and show it to me. In fact, if you look at the, that's the reason I went for the Firefox. If you look at this Firefox, the Firefox at the top, it is complaining to me that this XML does not have any styling information. So it just says you have not included a styling information. So I will not format it and show it to you. So if you want to it to come in a neat way, include a style sheet with it, I will be able to use it. So that's what is the meaning. So how do I include a style sheet? Remember, style sheet is something extra. You are telling the browser that this is the XML document, no doubt. Before you do something with the XML document, read this instruction, or this is some extra thing that you are supposed to do. And to give that thing, we use a very different symbol, that is less than question mark, and this is the keyword that you are using, XML style sheet. Then the type you are already familiar. In this case, I have used XSL. I'll talk about that. Then as well, if you look at this one, there is something missing with your ordinary style sheet. What is that is missing here? In the ordinary style sheet, whenever you include an ordinary style sheet, you usually say RAL. What is this RAL? The style sheet you say RAL is a style sheet. Here you somewhere you write RAL. What is that RAL in the style sheet? Yes. Whenever you include, okay, I'll just go to this. Whenever you include a style sheet in the ordinary thing, you say some tag. This is sorry, I can't go back. Ignore this. What is this RAL? Just recall this RAL. Then you have used the style sheet. You said it's done. What is that RAL? Yes. Louder. You are not interacting. You told me you've given a. So it's the relationship between. So you're just telling what is the relationship between the current document and that thing. That is the style sheet. Okay. Let's look at how we can include a style sheet in our document and how to make it appear neat. Okay. So let me go to visual thing. I will create a new file. But before that, I will try to open a file. Come on. I will open one file. Let's say my pen drive. So this is a XML document. Now what it has is it's a collection of all my friends. I will be giving you this for the processing. So it contains all my friends in Karnataka. So I have the friends in Karnataka, in Delhi, and in Kerala, and in Andhra Pradesh. So I have all my friends. I have listed them in that way. Okay. Now, if I directly ask the my browser to display that thing, if I have to go to that location first of all, so I will go to this location where I have this friends, and I will just drag that document. You will notice that it complains me that okay, you don't have a styling information, and it just starts showing as it is. So I'm not interested in the way in which it is showing the content to me. So I want it to format and show the content to me. What to do with this thing now? So I have to include, to solve this problem, I have to include a new style sheet. So I will add a new style sheet. So I'll open a style sheet. You are already familiar with the style sheet. Now, how do I format it? Now, first of all, I will go here. Remember, there is no body and there is nothing of that type. I have a tag called as name. I have a tag called as address. So, as usual, I don't have a tag called as body, so I don't want that thing. So, I'm going to say, what was that thing? Name and address. So I'm going to say name, and I'm going to put the styling information for the name. So again, I'm not going to waste my time. So I will say, come on. Okay. I want the font. I want the font Arial, and I just will go for the color. Not really from that. I will just go to the layout and I'll say I want the display to be blocked. I want it to be in block. Okay, so that's for the name. Then I'm going to say address. I hope the spelling must be proper. You know very well, otherwise it will not do that thing. Then I'm going to say I'll use some I don't know. Uh, Bookman old style. I don't know. Yeah. Let me change the color. That is, I think, that's better. Some extra layout. Let me again make it as block. Okay, so I got the style sheet here. Let the name of this be style sheet 1.css. Remember, I am storing both of them in the same location. That is in the desktop. So I don't. Why I'm doing it? I don't have to specify the file name. So how do I include the processing instruction? So I start with this. So what is it? XML dash style sheet. Type of it, it's a text document. Okay. Then I will say href. I think href is yeah. So that's it. So I've included. Save this thing. Oh, I should not have saved it. Yeah, it's okay. Then you will notice that something. Okay. Now you notice. Okay, it has come. I think I missed something in between. I'm not getting the color. I'm using it. Hey. I typed it CSS. It's proper. I'll remove the block from here. I don't know. But anyway, the rest of the thing will be within the. That's it's not. It has not taken that slide set, but at least for the theory class, I will stop at this point. You will notice that it is not showing the content in a tree-like structure now. It has formatted something. This is not the one. There's something wrong with the thing. I don't waste time and do that thing. We'll be doing it in the practicals. So we'll be able to guess that thing. But for the time being, you will notice that I am able to format the things. How did I do that thing? My intention here is not to tell you that style sheet can be included with the XML. My intention here is to tell you that we can give some extra information to the parser. So apart from XML, we can do that thing. For example, this is just a simple example. I can even tell the parser that do a spell check, and language is, let's say, something of this type. Now what will happen if you try to give this instruction to the Internet Explorer or a Firefox? Will it do the spell check? The answer is no. Internet Explorer and Firefox are not designed to check the spelling. So when you give an instruction which the parser is not able to understand, it just ignores that instruction. So one of the application that I have written may be able to interpret what is the meaning of spell check. Internet Explorer or Firefox may not be able to interpret it. So if they are not able to interpret the instruction, all the parser are designed to ignore the instructions. So you can give an instruction, if the parser is not able to understand, it just ignores it. Again, the way in which you are supposed to write, I just deleted it, whether it is S capital or C capital or something else, that depends on your application. So it is up to the application how you to write it. Suppose you are writing it for a particular application, they have the documentation, read the documentation, based on that you take the action. Okay, so it is a command to the program that is processing your XML. Okay, if the programs that do not recognize the given PIs, they will ignore it. The next one is, suppose say if I want to include a HTML tag inside my application or inside my XML, how do I do that thing? Let me go over here. Let me go to the first one because it is already associated with it. Now suppose say I have to write I will delete this one, doc type, it will create a problem to me. I don't want all these things, I will delete it. Okay, suppose say I want to, this is my data, remember it is not the content. Now let's say I have to convey some information to the developer. So I realize that just realized that okay, the developer or the designer has forgotten to put the /HTML. So I'm sending this document, this data to the developer, saying that okay, you just forgot here to add. So I'm going to just put a comment here. You forgot to add /HTML. So I want to just give this information. So this is my data that I need to give it to the developer. But the problem is, now even though I assume that this thing to be a data, but the XML parser will assume that the minute it gets a tag, it thinks that that is also a part of the XML. So now it is complaining me that say you wrote the HTML, why can't you close it, or why it is not closed there. So it is complaining, but this is not my data. I mean, this is not my HTML, it is my data. Suppose if you have this problem, how do you overcome that thing? So you can't, now it is not possible to send this data directly, or you can't store this as the data because there is a tag that are there inside it. How to overcome this problem? To overcome this problem, we have something called as character data or CDATA. Now, what does CDATA say to the parser? Whenever you mark something as CDATA, you are telling the parser that do not interpret whatever I am writing. This is my data, so don't try to peep into what I am writing. Give this thing as it is to the application. So you don't venture into that particular thing. So it is like, it's my personal thing. Don't bother about what I'm doing. So don't disturb me. So I will just type the thing, whether it is a complete tag, incomplete tag, whatever it is. That is my data. So take this as it is and give it to the application. How do I do that thing? So to achieve this, what I do here is I will go to this place and I am going to use a tag called as CDATA. Remember, just say I am cutting this thing and I will place it here. So you notice, I think there's at least some colors are there. You'll be able to notice that now this is grayed out. It's just an indication that, and it is not complaining that the tag is not closed. Why? You have told the parser that it is a character data. I am giving a character data. Don't try to parse the content. Whatever I am writing is the data. Take it as it is, give it to the application. It will do the needful thing. So don't come in between me and the application. So don't venture into that part. This is meant for the application. It's not meant for you. Otherwise, what the parser will think is, whenever you put a tag like this, it thinks that you are putting one more tag, and you know very well XML is extensible. Any type of the tag can come, so it just starts interpreting those tags and then starts complaining it. So to avoid that problem, we use the character data. Again, if you have one more other situation, could be like this. You may have a, let's say, a function here. Could I go? Let's say bug number 2. I think I closed the. This is. That's the root element. I think I closed that, deleted that root element itself. Now, suppose if you want to write a function. So how do you write a function? Yes, public void my function int x. Then you may write something like this. If x is less than 5, then you do something. Now the problem now is with this one. The less than symbol is not allowed, but I want that as a data. What to do with this? Again, the option is tell the parser don't parse this particular thing. How do I achieve that thing? I will have to tell it as, remember the syntax here of CDATA. I have to tell the parser that from this location till the other location, everything is a character data. Do not interpret that thing. So now it will not tell you anything about it. So in other words, you are telling the parser that don't parse the content. Remember, there is a difference between this and the comment. What is the difference? What's the difference? What's the difference? Yes, if I put a comment and paste it inside the comment, the results remain same. It is not complaining me that there is an error. But what's the difference between character data and a comment? Remember, comments are not sent to the application. Okay, and again, don't think the XML in terms of the browsers. Do not relate an XML with the Internet Explorer or the Firefox or anything. They are very different software. Browsers are very different software. We are not writing XML that will be used by the browser. We are writing XML that will be used by some other applications. Anything that is a custom built application. So whenever you are using the comments are not given to the application. They are stripped out before the content is given to the application. What about CDATA? CDATA content will be given to the application. So what is happening here? This thing will not reach my application. Why? Because it is commented. This thing will reach my application because what I told the parser is do not venture into this, but give this content to the application. Application needs this thing, give it. You don't come in between the application and the XML. That is what you are saying. Here, what you are saying to the parser is remove this thing. This is for my reference. Don't give this thing to the application. So it will remove the comments and it won't give the comment to the application. So that's the difference between them. So let's quickly go to the CDATA. There is one important thing in the CDATA. You notice that CDATA ends with the double square bracket and this symbol. This itself, that symbol itself cannot be a part of the data. So you know why it is true, because this will mark the end of the CDATA. Suppose if your data itself contains this symbol, that can't be used. In that case, you use the entities to replace that symbol. What is the meaning of that? If you didn't get it, now inside the data, I can't have, so in between here, I can't have this. The reason is the minute I put that thing, that's the end of the CDATA. So this symbol can't be used. In that case, use the entities as a replacement. That's one restriction that you have with the CDATA. Okay, so you got the what is CDATA. So one other, I gave you the example. I don't want to waste time on that. Okay, this is how it goes. Suppose if you want to send this message this and that to the application, the easiest way is to put it inside the CDATA. If you don't want to use the CDATA, then less than symbol must be replaced by an entity LT. Greater than must be replaced with the entity GT. Ampersand must be replaced with ampersand, that is and again this and so on. So if you don't want to write like this, the better option is to go for CDATA, which is much easier to do it. Okay. So I think I've already talked about this. It's not really identical to CDATA. We have PC data. PC data is exactly opposite of CDATA. In CDATA, what we tell the parser is, do not parse this thing. Don't go and read or interpret this content. Whereas in PC data, we tell the exactly opposite thing. We tell the parser that you are supposed to interpret this thing, whatever I am writing, you are supposed to interpret it, validate it, check whether it is proper, whether it is syntactically correct. So that is PC data. Okay. By default, whatever you write in the XML, it is considered to be PC data because the parser usually ventures into the XML document to find the correctness of it. So I will stop at this point.